I was tucked behind my little stall at the city library's book exhibition, surrounded by stacks of my latest fantasy novel. It wasn't a glamorous setup, but it felt like home. Scribbling away at a new story idea, I barely noticed the hustle around me until he walked up. "Hey, didn't expect to find a live author here. Thought you folks were all cooped up in some tower, weaving tales," he said, leaning casually against the edge of my table, a playful smirk on his face. I looked up, a bit taken aback by the interruption. The guy was average height, with a disarming smile and eyes that sparkled with mischief. He wore a simple tee and jeans, looking entirely out of place amidst the rows of books and the serious literary crowd milling around. "Actually, we occasionally descend to mingle with the mortals, see if the world's still spinning," I shot back, returning his smirk with a raised eyebrow. It was rare to find someone who didn't take the literary scene too seriously. He laughed, a genuine, hearty sound that made more heads turn our way. "Fair enough. I'm Alex. And you are?" "Sheila," I replied, extending my hand. "The one who's descended today to ensure the earth is indeed still in motion." "Sheila," he repeated, shaking my hand, his grip warm and firm. "So, what's your story about? Dragons, wizards, damsels in distress?" "Something like that, but my damsels usually end up saving the dragons and outsmarting the wizards." Alex picked up a copy of my book, flipping through it with interest. "Impressive. I gotta admit, I don't read much fantasy, or much of anything really. I was dragged here by a buddy of mine, but now I'm thinking it might have been fate." I couldn't help but chuckle at his dramatic tone. "Fate's a major theme in my books. Maybe you should start reading, you might find out you're a lost prince or something. Or maybe I just found my favorite new author," he quipped, giving me a look that sent an unexpected shiver down my spine. Our banter was interrupted by a lady who wanted me to sign a book for her. After she left, Alex was still there, watching me with an intrigued expression. "So, Sheila, would you be willing to step away from your authorly duties and grab a coffee with a lost prince?" he asked, his tone somewhere between teasing and earnest. I hesitated for a moment, not used to being so forward, but something about him felt different. "Sure, why not? But if you're hoping for a fairy tale, I should warn you, I'm better at writing them than living them." "Who says we can't write our own?" he said with a wink as he gestured toward the exit. Our single coffee date ignited something fierce between us, the kind of fiery romance that you read about in novels, but seldom see in real life. Conversations flowed like we were picking up from a previous life, and laughs were shared as if we'd known the punchlines all along. Before I knew it, Alex had swept me off my feet, and I, him. Our whirlwind romance spun faster as days turned into nights and back again, all leading to a modest yet profoundly beautiful wedding. It was a simple affair, really. Just our closest kin gathered to witness our vows, my folks, Alex's, and my little sister, Sarah, who was just 15, wide-eyed and dreamy about love. The air was thick with promise and faint whispers of forever, a stark contrast to the complexities of life that awaited us beyond that day. Life with Alex started like a dream. We were those annoying lovebirds making everyone sick with our sweetness. But as the years rolled by, something changed. The dream began to wear off, reality set in, and before I knew it, we were just another couple trying to make it through the day without a squabble. One evening, I was at my desk, drowning in a sea of manuscripts and deadlines, when Alex stormed in, tossing his keys on the table with a clatter that made me jump. "Sheila, what's for dinner?" he barked, sounding more like a disgruntled roommate than the man I married. I sighed, marking my place in the manuscript with a frown. "I haven't started cooking yet, Alex. I've been swamped with work today." He threw his hands up in frustration. "Great. Just great. You're always swamped. I come home tired from work, and there's nothing ready." "What be you been doing all day?" "Working, Alex. Just like you." I snapped back, my patience wearing thin. "You know, writing doesn't just happen. I don't just wave a magic wand and poof, a new book appears." He scoffed, pacing back and forth. "Yeah, but I actually have to go to an office, deal with people I can't stand, and then come back to this. This? I echoed, incredulous. You mean our home? The place I also work hard to keep running while trying to meet my deadlines? Alex rolled his eyes. Oh, come on, Sheila. You sit at home, typing away. How hard can it be? You're making it sound like you're out there, breaking rocks or something. I stood up, feeling my blood boil. You have no idea, do you? Just because I work from home doesn't mean I'm lounging around, having a tea party with my laptop. And for your information, I earn a decent income from my typing away, more than enough to cover for the so-called lack of contribution you keep harping about. His face turned red, a vein throbbing in his neck. Oh, so now it's about money, huh? You think just because you make more, you can lord it over me? That's not what I'm saying, and you know it. I retorted. I'm just tired, Alex. Tired of you not seeing how much I'm juggling here. I'm not asking for a medal, just a bit of understanding and maybe some help around here. He snorted, grabbing a beer from the fridge. Help? I do enough already. You want help? Hire a maid. With that, he plopped down on the couch, turning on the TV, effectively ending our conversation. I stared at him, a mix of disbelief and anger churning inside me. The man I married, who once would do anything to make me smile, now couldn't be bothered to lift a finger or offer a word of support. I turned back to my manuscript, the words blurring before my eyes. It wasn't just about the chores or the cooking. It was the growing chasm between us, filled with unspoken grievances and fading love. How did we get here? When did the magic of our beginning fade into this mundane, bitter routine? The morning I got the call, my whole world flipped. I'd been feeling off for a while, tired beyond the normal writer's fatigue, and a persistent pain that wouldn't let up. So, I finally dragged myself to the doctor, expecting to be told I needed more vitamins or something. Instead, I got a call that had me sitting on the cold kitchen floor, phone slipping from my sweaty grip. Sheila, are you there? Dr. Patel's voice was gentle, but carried a weight that instantly filled me with dread. Yeah, I'm here. I managed, my voice barely a whisper. We got your test results back. I'm afraid it's not great news. It looks like cancer, Sheila. The word slammed into me like a freight train. Cancer. Me. It couldn't be real. What kind are we talking? My voice sounded detached, as if I was floating outside my body, watching this scene unfold. It's early stages, but aggressive. We need to start treatment immediately. I know this is a lot to process, but I want you to come in tomorrow so we can discuss your options. Okay, was all I could say, before hanging up. Alex found me still on the floor, the phone lying next to me. His reaction was not what I expected. What's wrong now? His tone was irritated, not concerned. I looked up at him, tears finally breaking free. It's cancer, Alex. I have cancer. For a moment, he just stared at me, and then, unbelievably, he sighed. Cancer? Great, that's all we needed. What's this going to mean, Sheila? How are we going to deal with this now? I was speechless. His first thought was about the inconvenience, not my life being turned upside down. I don't know, Alex. Treatment, I guess. Starting right away. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. And what? I have to pick up all the slack while you're, getting chemo or something? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Yeah, Alex. While I'm trying to not die, you might have to do a bit more around here. He didn't respond, just walked out of the room, leaving me alone with my diagnosis and a growing realization that I was more alone than I had ever been. The next few days were a blur of appointments, tests, and treatments starting. Alex was there, physically, but it was like he checked out the moment things got tough. He'd come to the hospital, but spent the time complaining about how hard this was for him. This is a mess, Sheila. I can't believe you're putting me through this. I've got my own stuff, and now I have to worry about you all the time. I stared at him, the man I married, wondering how I could have been so blind. Sorry, my life-threatening illness is an inconvenience to you, Alex. I'll try to keep it down. He rolled his eyes, pulling out his phone to escape the conversation. That's when I knew. This wasn't just a rough patch. This was the end of the road for us, one way or another. Days turned into a whirlwind of treatments and hospital stays. In one of those foggy, pain-laced afternoons, Sarah, my younger sister, waltzed into my hospital room like she was stepping into a cafe for brunch, not a cancer ward. Hey, Sheila, you're looking, well, as good as one can look in here, I guess, she started, not a hint of empathy in her voice. Her eyes quickly scanned the room, perhaps looking for something more interesting than my plight. Sarah, what are you doing here? I asked, surprised and secretly hoping for a bit of familial support. Oh, just thought I'd visit. But hey, you remember my birthday's coming up, right? I was thinking, you always get me the best stuff. I'm really hoping for something extra special this year, she said, her tone light, but her implication heavy. I couldn't believe my ears. Was she seriously here, in my hospital room, asking for birthday presents while I was fighting for my life? I managed a bitter smile, the absurdity of the situation momentarily overriding the pain. Sarah, I'm not really in a position to go gift shopping right now. I'm in the hospital, in case you haven't noticed. Her face twisted into a pout, and she crossed her arms, leaning back in the chair with a huff. Wow, selfish much? It's always about you, isn't it, Sheila? Here I am, trying to bring a bit of normalcy into your life, and you're turning it into some drama. Classic. My heart sank. Her words felt like a slap in the face. Here I was, at the lowest point of my life, and my own sister couldn't see beyond her desire for material things. Sarah, I'm fighting cancer. I don't have the energy for this. For shopping or planning surprises. She stood up, her chair screeching against the floor. Whatever, Sheila. I thought maybe, just this once, you'd think about someone other than yourself. But I guess I was wrong. Don't worry about my gift. I'll get over it, like I always do. With that, she stormed out, leaving me in a wake of hurt and disbelief. The door closed with a soft click, but the echo of her words and the depth of her selfishness rang loud in my ears. A week after Sarah's unbelievable visit, I was lying in my hospital bed, trying to focus on the positives. My treatment was harsh but necessary, and I clung to every shred of hope I could muster. That's when Alex walked in, but he wasn't alone. Sarah was with him, clinging to his arm like she was his date to the prom. Sheila, we need to talk, Alex said, his voice cold, lacking any of the warmth it once held for me. I stared at them, a sense of dread washing over me. What's going on? Sarah, what are you doing here with Alex? As if the scene couldn't get more twisted, Sarah's smirk widened, and she leaned closer, her voice dripping with spite. Oh, since you were too sick to bother about my birthday gift, I went ahead and got the best present for myself. I took your husband. Always wanted what you had, Sheila. Your life, your success, and now, Alex. Alex didn't flinch, not even a bit. He looked at me, his eyes void of the love I once thought we shared. She's right, Sheila. I can't do this anymore. Can't be tied down to someone who's more of a burden than a partner. I need someone healthy, someone like Sarah, who gets me, who doesn't nag me about chores or needing help around the house. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to make them feel a fraction of the pain slicing through me. But I was too weak, too betrayed. You're leaving me? For my sister? While I'm lying here fighting for my life? Yeah, well, life doesn't stop for your cancer, Sheila. We all have needs. Sarah interjected, her words like venom. I can't believe this. I can't believe you, Sarah. And Alex, I thought we vowed in sickness and in health. Was that just a joke to you? My voice cracked, the emotional and physical pain becoming too much to bear. He slid a stack of papers across the small hospital table towards me. The divorce papers. My hand trembled as I took the pen he offered, signing my name where indicated. Both of them watched, surprise flickering across their faces at my quick compliance. Fine, I said, my voice a mere whisper, but laced with a finality that even I didn't know I had in me. Take everything. Take each other. I don't care anymore. As they turned to leave, Sarah couldn't resist one last jab. Oh, and I'll be moving into your house. Always loved the decor. Thanks in advance. The door clicked shut behind them, leaving me in a silence that was louder than any argument. The pain of the betrayal was sharp, cutting deeper than the physical pain I'd been battling. It wasn't just the loss of Alex, it was the realization that my own sister had been harboring envy and hatred towards me, waiting for the moment to strike and take everything I loved. After Alex and Sarah exited the room triumphantly, thinking they'd knocked me down for good, I turned to my laptop with a fiery determination burning inside me. The first thing I did? Cancelled that big fat check meant for Sarah's college tuition. Yeah, I'd been footing the bill for her education, believing I was supporting her future. Not anymore. Next up, I blocked our joint account. Alex thought he could walk away with my sister and still dip into my earnings? Not on my watch. I rang up my lawyer, my voice steady but my hands shaking. Prepare everything. We're splitting the property, and I want every document ready to go, I told him, not missing a beat. Then, with the weight of betrayal heavy on my heart, I poured all that anger and hurt into my writing. My next book wasn't just going to be a story, it was going to be a testament to my resilience, a big middle finger to those who thought they could break me. Days later, they barged back into my hospital room like they owned the place. Sarah, with her usual flair for drama, started in on me. You have to pay for my college, Sheila. You promised. I couldn't help but laugh, the sound bitter. Oh, darling sister, your current lover, my dear ex, should be more than capable. After all, you two are a team now, right? Sarah turned to Alex, her eyes wide with panic. You'll pay for it, won't you? Alex squirmed, the color draining from his face. I don't have that kind of money, Sarah. Watching them argue was more satisfying than I expected. That's when I laid it on them. Oh, and Alex, pack your bags. The house? It's mine. I'll be generous and give you a tiny slice from the sale, the one you put in when we bought it, but you're moving out. His outrage was palpable. That's not enough for a new place. What am I supposed to do? I smirked, the game finally turning in my favor. Well, you've got a young, beautiful bride now. Figure it out. Their shouting matched the chaos they'd brought into my life, but I was done. One call to hospital security, and they were escorted out, their protests fading down the hall. Lying back, a sense of peace washed over me, for the first time since this nightmare began. I was taking control of my narrative, one step at a time. That evening, still reeling from the showdown with Alex and Sarah, my phone rang. It was Mom and Dad. The minute they started talking, I knew it was going to be about Sarah. They didn't waste any time, diving straight into how I should cover Sarah's last year of college. I couldn't believe my ears. You're kidding, right? After she's gone and stolen my husband, you're still taking her side? My voice cracked, a mix of anger and disbelief. They came back at me with the usual spiel, saying I shouldn't be selfish and should be happy for Sarah's happiness. That's when I lost it. Happy? For her happiness? She orchestrated this whole mess while I'm stuck in a hospital fighting for my life, and you're telling me to be happy for her? There was a pause, a heavy silence that felt like judgment. Sheila, you need to think about what's really important. Family sticks together, Dad finally said, his voice steady but cold. Sticks together? Really? Because it sure doesn't feel like it. I shot back, my heart pounding. You're asking me to support the person who betrayed me the most. They didn't say another word, just hung up. That was it. The line was drawn. No more calls came after that. It was clear where their loyalties lay, and it wasn't with me. I turned back to the only thing I had left, my writing. This new book, it wasn't fantasy. It was raw, real, a reflection of everything I'd been through. It was a gamble, a departure from the worlds I'd created before. But it was my truth. When I sent the draft to my editor, I was braced for rejection. This book was a world away from dragons and magic. It was about betrayal, about fighting back, about justice. The next day, my phone rang. It was my editor. "Sheila, your book. It moved me. I cried," she admitted, her voice thick with emotion. Hearing that, something in me shifted. Maybe, just maybe, this story was worth telling. Maybe others needed to hear it too. A few months later, the book hit the shelves. The response was immediate, overwhelming. It struck a chord, resonated with people who'd faced their own betrayals, their own battles. It became a bestseller, a testament to the power of resilience, of finding strength in the deepest of wounds. Months rolled by, and I found myself in a whole new chapter of my life. Getting out of the hospital felt like breaking free from a prison. I could finally take a deep breath, no longer surrounded by the sterile walls that witnessed my lowest points. The success of my book was beyond anything I'd imagined. The sales, they went through the roof, enough to let me buy a new house, a sanctuary where I could start fresh. Then came the talk show invites. Sitting on those sets, under the bright lights, sharing my story, it was surreal. Yeah, every word of it's true, I'd say, answering the inevitable question if my novel was really based on my life. Pulled straight from the darkest parts of my journey. The response was overwhelming. My social media blew up with messages from readers. "Your book changed my life," they'd write, and every message felt like a piece of my shattered heart being put back together. But the real kicker came out of the blue. An indie film studio rang me up, wanted to turn my story into a movie. I remember blinking at my phone, thinking, is this for real? That shock turned into excitement so fast, I was buzzing. I called my editor, the first person I wanted to share the news with. "You won't believe this, my book, it's getting made into a film. Let's go grab a coffee, my treat. We've got some serious celebrating to do." Life had its weird way of turning things around. Last I heard of Alex, he was crammed into some dingy apartment, his grand love affair with Sarah having imploded spectacularly. And Sarah? Without my financial help, college became a missed goal, a dream deferred. She's back living with our parents, picking up whatever work she can find. Sitting across from my editor in that cozy cafe, clinking our coffee cups, I couldn't help but marvel at how far I'd come. From the depths of despair, to a place of hope and new beginnings. Yeah, life's funny, isn't it? I mused aloud. You think you're at the end of your rope, and then, suddenly, you're not just swinging back, you're flying. My editor smiled, her eyes shining with pride. You did that, you know. You turned your pain into something powerful, something that resonates with so many. You should be proud. Through all this, not a peep from my parents. No congrats, no acknowledgement of my book's success. It stung, sure, but I was getting used to writing solo, relying on my own strength to push through. Then, one day, a knock rattled my front door. Standing there, looking a bit lost and a lot desperate, was Sarah. I'm so sorry, sis. I was stupid. Can you ever forgive me? Her voice was shaky, eyes darting, not quite meeting mine. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Sorry? Now? After everything that's gone down? She fidgeted, wringing her hands. I know it's a lot. But I need help. With college, I thought, maybe things could go back to how they were? I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Back? Sarah, there's no back after what you did. You chose your path. Time to walk it. With that, I closed the door gently but firmly. She stood there a moment longer, I could see her shadow under the door, before she walked away. Turning back to my house, my sanctuary, I felt a pang of something. Was it regret? Sadness? Maybe. But more than anything, I felt release. The chapter was closed. I had a script to write, a world to see, and a life to live that was all mine. The story, the whole mess with Alex and Sarah, became a distant memory, a faint scar that reminded me of where I'd been but no longer dictated where I was going.